let's see how I feel doing an interview.
All right.
So we're here at MalaMadre in Bali with Dirk.
Yes.
I prepared 300,000 of questions, so
Wow, that's a lot
let's
of
see.
questions.
So the very first question
Yes.
is, before I even met you or seen the shop, my first question was, why MalaMadre?
Why MalaMadre? Well, MalaMadre has a lot of meanings for us. First of all, it's my mom's favorite plant. So it's a plant that grows mainly in South America, that has healing properties, that is very rough. And yeah, so that's one of the reasons. The second reason is one of my Spanish favorite movies. It's called Zelda. And the main character on that movie is one of my favorite actors. His name is Luis Tosar. You should check him out. He's a very good Spanish actor.
Didn't have time.
And yeah, and the name of this actor in that movie, the character is called MalaMadre. And the third reason is because I met my wife already 11 years ago on a plane coming back from France, from Paris to Barcelona. And I was having a bag of M&Ms, right? So MalaMadre and MalaMadre, the plant from my mom's favorite plant, and the character in the movie. So that's why it came up with MalaMadre.
And maybe we have to precise also that it's obviously a Spanish word, MalaMadre,
Yes.
that means like bad mother. He is from Spain.
Yes,
So
I'm
that's
Spanish.
that's
Exactly.
one of the parts. Well, maybe reason number one, he actually
Yeah.
understands the word.
Yeah, exactly. True.
Then the question, where are you from, is almost answered, but from which part of Spain are you? What's the...
Well, I'm from the Basque country. I'm from the north. I was born in Bilbao, although my parents are from Argentina, both of them.
Okay, so
And
they migrated to Spain and were born there.
yes, exactly. Yeah. And my ancestors is a big mix. They're Swiss, German, Scottish, American, and Argentinian. Yeah, it's a big family mix.
And now, 10 years in Bali.
11 almost. Yes.
Two questions.
Yes.
One, do you feel Balinese? Do you feel Spanish?
No,
do you feel German?
I feel Basque and Spanish.
You feel Basque?
And
Okay,
Spanish.
Spanish.
Yes.
And why Bali? From so many places.
Well, it was kind of a random destination, to be honest, because when I told you before that I met my wife on that flight, she had her sabbatical approved, so she was going to take some time off. I was pretty tired and exhausted from the work that I used to do before. So I was also thinking of, taking some time off.
What was your job?
I used to work at Volkswagen.
Okay.
Yes.
So still something with motor industry.
Yes, but cars in this case. I worked all my life in the automotive industry, actually. Yeah. We met, and then she said, "Oh, at the end of this month, I'm going to Bali," and and then we kind of came along pretty good, and then I decided to quit my job as well, and we came together to Bali. The initial idea was to stay for 2-3 months and then travel around Asia. Obviously, see if our thing would work out. And we never left Bali.
Bali worked out, and
Bali worked
and
out,
the relationship,
and the relationship
also
worked out as well. Yes, it did, certainly.
So you went from car industry to motorbike industry. How was it a passion since the beginning?
Well, yeah, it was always a passion. The fact of the motorcycles. Many parents do. They never. Me as a kid, they never allowed me to ride motorcycles or to have a motorcycle. So sorry, mom. Maybe if you see this interview, you will find out, or dad. The fact is that we always kind of mess around with motorcycles. They were always like in Spain, there were this kind of Vespinos, it's called. So it's kind of a 50cc scooter, pretty famous, pretty well known at that back in the days. I'm 51, so I'm talking about 25, 30 years ago. So so we always used to have this bike. So we went out for in the weekends, and then I just left my house walking, and then went to my friend's house, pick up the bike, and then went out with the bike.
I'll cut that out of the edit, so
Yes.
your mom doesn't figure out.
Thank you. No, but then somehow I kind of never got back to bikes, although I was always a fan of MotoGP and back in the days, and I always
So you were
loved
not
motorcycles.
really a rider. It was more like the mechanic part that came
No, I
first?
did enjoy bikes, but I couldn't really ride them because, as I said, it was always like kind of hiding around. But I always was interested in motorcycles, but everything, no, the engines, of course, the designs, the fact of riding a motorcycle. But I never actually had the chance to ride bikes after that because I moved to Germany, and then obviously Germany, the weather and
No,
they
yeah,
don't
it's
have.
not very
No, and then I was
bike appealing.
focused. No, and then I was focused on other stuff. And then after living in Germany, I went back to Barcelona, and for the first time, and that was 2013, I bought a Vespa, secondhand Vespa, to use it in Barcelona. And then somehow that waken up again the fact of enjoying riding a motorcycle. And then obviously when we came here to Bali, it was like, okay, this is the place, right? You see bikes everywhere. It's actually the best way to move around. You have no option, right? I mean, you can see how
Yeah,
crazy the
exactly.
traffic
Yeah.
is. And then obviously that continued. And then I start seeing a lot of beautiful, amazing bikes around here. Obviously, the ones that Deus did. There was another builder here called the Smoke Garage, pretty well known that it's not existing anymore. And that kind of said like, okay, so I have time. I don't have nothing to do. We're gonna stay a bit longer in Bali because the 3 first months, then it was 6, then it was 9, and then it was like, oh, shit.
So you were like wanting to build a business, and then
No,
that's.
no, 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 no. I never had the idea of building a business
Oh,
actually at the beginning. Well, so we started like everybody, we got a villa, then we rented out some rooms in the villas, and then with a couple of friends, and that was actually the whole thing started to born, because these other two friends, they were like really, really also into motorcycles. And then we said like, look, I mean, why don't we just build a couple of motorcycles in a local garage? We rented out for the villa how do you say that? For the villa people or the people that come to visit us in Bali, the villas, and stay at the villas.
it really started like many of those bike projects in a garage. Like the
Yes, it
story
did.
of the friends in a garage.
Yeah, the fact is that so the story started with the two or so the three of us, but then one is a pilot and got a job, and went back to Spain. The other one said like, oh, I have other things to do, blah blah. So I'm not really sure. So basically, I stayed on my own with the idea. So I decided, okay, I have time. I have nothing else to do. I have knowledge of what I like, type of bike. So I'm gonna build myself a bike, and
Nice.
then let's see what happens. So I built the bike, and I was pretty much spending all days in the garage, the local garage, checking out the builds and doing this and changing that and saying, no, I like this, I want to know, I bit them around. So shaping the whole bike until the bike was done. And then I had my amazing bike that was just a bike. It was nothing else but a bike, a black matte bike. And then one day, going to pick up the laundry, I had an accident with the bike. Entered a road, and then there was a bus in the middle of the road trying to
Front.
turn,
Yeah.
or I don't know, whatever he was doing. So I had no option. So I just pushed the brake as hard as I could, and then started skidding, trying to avoid to hit the bike frontally, to the bus
The bus,
frontally.
yeah.
And then I basically hit it on the side with my shoulder, and I broke my collarbone. So that was
One
my
of the
first,
worst
yes. So,
bone.
so that was my first actually experience in Bali with a custom bike. 1 month after getting it, 1 week, sorry, after getting it built, I had the accident. So I spent the next 3.5 months with like that. And then the whole thing of like, well, the bike is super cool. I like the fact of the bike. Why don't now I cannot surf? I can do not anything. So why don't I just build a couple more bikes, and then we put them in the houses in the villas, and then see if we can rent them out and see if it works.
So since the beginning, you've been more of a designer than a mechanic.
Yes, yes, more. Yeah, well, I would say
What would be your job title if you would have to explain your?
job title. Oh,
What are you, bike designer?
it's kind of a difficult question. I don't know. I would say a motorcycle enthusiast, probably.
That's probably.
I like everything on the process of the bikes. I like the designing of it for sure. I like the mechanical part of it, understanding the mechanical part of the bike. So, I mean, for me, the whole package, no, really appealing. No, the designing of the bike, the building the bike, the riding the bike, and enjoying the riding on a bike. So I would say the whole package. So I would probably the best definition would be that motorcycle or motorcycle enthusiast. Yeah.
So now, 10 years have passed,
Mm-hmm.
And here you are with
Yes.
a motorcycle shop and employees.
Yep.
How many employees do you have?
Right now we have 9. We used to have 15.
Wow, okay.
But right now we have 9 employees. Yeah.
And what part of the job do you still do?
Pretty much everything.
You do still all the design and the mechanic and everything?
Well, I do the design pretty much of the bikes, obviously, and then I'm involved in the whole process. Obviously, I'm not a professional mechanic, but I do understand about mechanics. I do understand about bikes. I am self-taught, but yeah, I always try to be involved in the whole process from the design, obviously, with the customer, and then during the whole production phase of the bike. Yeah.
What is the one task you're very happy to have someone else doing for you?
In the business, you mean,
In
or in the production of the bike?
yeah, in the production of the bike.
Phew. I don't know. I think it's beautiful to build a bike. So every part of the process is has his pros and cons, right?
I would probably say like sanding.
Yeah, probably sanding is the less appealing part of the production of a motorcycle. Yes, I agree. Yes, probably sanding is not very, yeah.
Artistic.
No, exactly, exactly. But very important part of the job.
It has to be very well done.
Yes.
And talking about bike production, how does it work? Where do you get the bikes from when it's not a client bringing his own for modification? When it's like you inventing something, and where do you get the inspiration from?
Well, then, I mean, so that's 2 questions,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So where do we get the bikes? The bikes normally they're all in Indonesia, and not specifically in Bali, but in Indonesia. Indonesia is a country that has a lot of restrictions to importing things. Although there's a lot of really nice bikes from when Indonesia was a colony, right?
The old vintage.
Yeah, so there's a lot of
things.
vintage old bikes around that you can really still find. So that type of customers, it's very easy to get old BMWs, old Hondas, old Yamahas, old Suzukis. So there's a huge vintage type of base bike or donor bike, which is personally my favorite. I'm not really a huge fan of all the modern bikes and what the tendency of all these big brands, the way they're building bikes.
I agree.
I thought I well I think no I thought no I think a lot of them are now realizing that they're missing a huge market. And some of the brands like Kawasaki are doing kind of vintage bikes. Obviously, Royal Enfield still does them.
They
Uh,
messed up was the last one.
well, I don't know which
The
one.
new Himalayan.
Well, but the Himalayan is kind of an adventure type of bike. But they do still have obviously the classic,
Yeah,
the
the other one.
350s and the
Yeah.
500, and now all the new models that they've launched now, they're beautiful bikes. Beautiful bikes from the design, from the performance, from the engine. They're really, really good. So Royal Enfield is one bike. Obviously, Triumph has always maintained their,
Yeah.
you know, their design in the bikes. Very classic, very vintage. But yeah, Honda and Yamaha, especially the Japanese bikes. Obviously, Harley is a Harley. Ducati is Ducati. Obviously, they have a very strong character on their own, right? But the Japanese bikes, they were, you know, going all the way towards this like kind of modern, you know, street naked racing type of replica bikes. And I think they are really missing, you know, because I mean the CB750 or the CB series of Honda, they've been like super successful,
I love the
super successful.
XL series,
Yeah.
the XLR. Oh,
Yeah,
they were
all these
amazing.
classic vintage type of adventure bikes in the XL, for example, or the XR, or even the street bikes, the CB series 400 or 350, 250, 400, 750, 500, 550, CBX. All this is completely gone. And then they all went to the super modern type of bikes. And I think, in my personal opinion, I think they've made a mistake in there. And now Honda not
Maybe
yet.
a comeback.
Kawasaki, yes, with the VW series, right? They're beautiful. The VW of Kawasaki's, they're really nice from the 175 up to the 800s and 900s.
I
They're
don't know
really
this
beautiful.
series. I have to Google it.
Check them out. They're really beautiful. Yeah, so that's regarding the first question. And the second question I forgot
Where do you
was
get the inspiration from?
the
How do you
inspiration.
decide to change, to
So
modify?
the inspiration is obviously a combination of customers' choices because obviously at the end of the day we build bikes for customers and it's the end customer who basically has the final word on the design and they always come with an idea. And then my job or our job is mainly to take that idea, that desire of that customer and transform it into reality, which sometimes is not really easy because a lot of people come with bikes that they have seen, I don't know, in Pinterest or
In a movie
in a
or
movie or in a
yeah.
motor show, whatever it is. And then obviously you have to bring them back to reality, right? Because one thing is to build a bike for a show or a bike that is actually, you know, like a kind of an art piece that basically stays in the living room where it's only for shows or whatever. And then the other thing is to have a bike that is inspired in that, but at the end of the day, it has to be also practical, that you use it on a daily basis,
How it works out is it in
that is
this weather?
comfortable, that works out exactly in this weather. And then obviously, oh, I want it to be comfortable because my wife is going to sit in the back and then blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So obviously, one thing is where they come from. And then obviously, where we finalize the project, trying always obviously to maintain the inspiration of or the idea of the customer, right?
And good looking often means not really comfortable.
Absolutely, right. And for me, one of the things that I always tell customers is that bikes were never designed for two people.
That's true.
A motorcycle is a very selfish.
It's a bicycle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, you know, designing and building a bike that is comfortable for a pillion is very, very challenging because if you want to make it cool, then it has to be a bit higher. If you want to maintain certain lines, they're too low. If you have a person sitting in the back with a very average 50, 60 kilo or whatever it is, uh, you know, it's very difficult to design a bike. And that's why I always say to the customers, it's like, I need to understand before building a bike is
What you're going to use
what
it
you're going to
for.
use it for, how often you're going to use it for, with who you're going to use it, and then put all that into the pot and come with a final design,
Yeah.
right? Because if you're going to, you know what, you're going to design a bike for two people or that is comfortable for two and you're going to use it 95% of the time on your own, sorry, but wouldn't be more smart probably to just for that 5% just rent a scooter and use a scooter and then you know and then
Yeah.
use your bike
Or
on
be
your own
uncomfortable on it.
or be on or yeah or be uncomfortable on it. No, oh yeah, or I don't want this bike to have a mud guard. Yeah, fine, okay, we can do it without a mud guard. And then
Then rainy season.
yeah, and then after 2 days or 3 days on the road using the bike, I told you, oh yeah, you were right. I said, like, well, yeah, so that's now extra job. And so the fact of designing a bike is very important to actually involve the customer in every single part of the process, right? And then
And if it's your own bike design, like, or do you have a dream bike
yes, I have
or an
many dream
idea of
bikes.
a.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, and in all fairness, is that it's been a long time since I really had time to design my own bikes
To
for
do
our
like
own
pure
show,
art?
for pure hard bikes, because we're so busy building bikes for customers, even if it sounds a little bit like snobby, but it's true. We're really, really busy. Building a bike takes time. And yeah, I wish I would have time to build my own bikes and have them here and
And maybe sell them
like
after they're
like I did
done.
at the beginning, and
Yeah.
I missed that part. Um,
That was a question I wanted to ask. What do you miss from the beginning? How has it changed?
Well, I miss the fact of the first probably 10, 15 bikes I designed them, and that's how MalaMadre started, right? And
Yeah.
then obviously we ended up selling those bikes or using those bikes for rentals or whatever. And then we obviously started building bikes for customers, and we haven't stopped since then. And it's been more than 150 bikes in 10 years, right? So I really miss that those beginnings where you basically was us sitting or me sitting in front and designing and thinking, okay, I like this bike. I want to use this as a base. Okay, Suzuki GN 250 or GS. I love the engine. I love the fact that it has two exhausts and it's a very low bike, so it's a perfect bike for a Brat style. You know, so all the process of imagining what bike and how to design it, and that was pretty much from MM1 until MM15. Those bikes were all created in my head, you know.
They all have a number?
Yes.
For customer, for rental,
Yes.
everything. You just number
Yeah.
them. Oh, wow. I like
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah.
nice. Which number are you on now?
Oof, I lost track, but I think it's 170, 172 or 73. I'm not sure. I need to double check.
You said you're doing about, what did you say, 12, 15 bikes a year?
Well, it's been like
Yeah,
kind of, yeah, but in average, yeah, more close probably to 20 bikes per year.
20. How many of them are for customers and how many are just the rental ones
20.
you're preparing? All customers.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
So
well,
rental
let's
thing
say
is a new thing?
maybe 18 for
Okay.
customers and two that we're working in rebuilding a rental or changing the color in a rental or whatever. But I would say 85% is for customers, yes.
And you started rental later. Rental is something
No,
new?
no, that was the first actually with those MM1 to 15.
Oh, okay.
They were all kind at the beginning for rent. And then we started some of them people, oh, I love this bike, and then we ended up selling them and building a new rental. But yeah, so no, we started actually
As a
with
rental.
rental. Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, because actually the first MalaMadre ever that I built for a customer was MM5. So the first five were basically, well, the first four were basically
We're like your babies.
babies, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as well, and then probably the first one for a customer. I don't remember exactly the number, but it was like 12 or 13 or whatever. I don't remember exactly. But if you go back into if I go back into our Instagram, you could actually see the first post where you could see MM1, which was my first bike. And then the first one we did for a customer is MM5. Yes.
Which one is your favorite?
Don't ask me that question. It's like asking your dad,
What?
who's your favorite son?
Which one was your funniest?
Probably my favorite is
Project.
the first one,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's
Yeah,
always
the one
like the
in the
first
garage.
one. Yeah, yeah.
The one you crashed in the bus.
No, no,
The
actually,
first,
no.
the
No, the
real first
first real
MM.
MalaMadre. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Which actually I still have.
nice.
It's in pieces though, but I still have it. Yeah, somewhere in
And
the
what's
warehouse.
the funniest or weirdest ask you got from a customer that you did or didn't do? Like really the weirdest thing. You're like, what?
The weirdest thing. I don't know if it's the weirdest thing, but they asked me to do a aluminum box to install it on the back of an X-Max for his 2 or 3 Bali dogs. Yeah,
That's cute.
yeah. And at the end of the day, he used it for. It took me a lot to make it because it was not easy. And then he used it for probably 1 or 2 months, and then he said like, "Oh man, I mean, I love it. It's amazing, but the dogs keep jumping out of the bike all the time while we're running." So yeah, so he kind of stopped. But yeah, I don't know if it's the weirdest, but probably the most complicated thing to do. Not from the fabrication, but the fact of adapting it because it cannot be too long. It has to be compensated. Then you have to, count in the dogs. Obviously, how many kilos each dog is. Obviously, yeah, it was not something really. I would never do that again. No.
I like that story.
Yeah, I would never do that again. No. Yeah.
And
That's one. And the other one, I'm
oh,
trying to
there's
think if
another
there's
one.
another one. Hold on.
Or maybe a customer that asked something really impossible, like bike or
I mean, nothing is
critical.
impossible. Everything, we can do everything if they give us time to do it, right? But probably not because we've done an electric bike as well, which was not really
So there's nothing you refused
strange.
doing?
No, I like challenges and
That's nice.
I like things new. No, that yeah, I like kind of yeah, I like testing things and doing things and building things. I like that. I really enjoy that. No, honestly, I think that's the weirdest thing that we ever did. This box for the
For
body
dogs.
dogs, and it had to be in aluminium, right? Which made it even more
More,
challenging.
yeah, because you cannot solder it. You cannot.
Well, you can
Well,
because
yeah.
we have aluminium welding and everything here, but it couldn't be too heavy, so that's why we decided to do aluminium. But then it had to be a little bit thicker than normal then it had to be shaped rounded, and then obviously it had to have a certain height and length, and then yeah, it was not. No, no, it was way too complicated. Way too complicated. Yeah.
And how did the biker or custom scene change in Bali in 10 years? Was it better before, or is it like now more trending and nicer with more people, or was it more authentic before?
I do. Yeah. Even though if I sound maybe like an older man, past times were like better.
Better.
Yeah. Especially like 10 years ago, there was not such amount of traffic. It was actually not. There's construction now everywhere. In the last 10 years, you used to have beautiful rides, beautiful roads where you can really enjoy the landscapes and actually, feel the vibe of Bali. And that obviously encouraged you to. There was a very famous like Sunday rides
Yeah.
here that they were done every Sunday, so people coming along, and that has kind of disappeared. And now the only thing left is the gentleman's ride that we host every year, and we organize every year. And obviously, I really would love to do that again. And do like I don't know once a month, do like a MalaMadre ride or something to get people back
In like the community
and the
feeling a bit.
community feeling.
Yeah.
That's kind of a little bit of lost now. I say, or maybe I'm out. I don't know. Could be also that there's a but
You're old.
no, I'm
No.
just too busy.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah,
Is it mostly foreigners, expats,
hundred
or
percent,
yeah,
100%. Yeah, I
locals
can't
don't ride?
remember. I can't remember any single Indonesian customer out of the 170 something. There has been a couple of inquiries, but we have never ever built a bike for an Indonesian
Is it
customer.
just because of money, or also a bit of culture and interest, or is it you think really the
Oof, it's difficult to say. I think it's a little bit of both. Not necessarily monetary because there's a lot of Indonesian with a lot of money. Uh,
then those are just not very interested in bikes? It's just not the culture.
Uh, I don't know. I mean, yes, they are because they have. I mean, there's a lot of very wealthy Indonesians that have their Harleys, but they like more like probably the type of
Yeah,
like this like big
so it's maybe just the custom
original,
culture that is
just the
not. Yeah,
custom culture probably yes. And those that are into custom culture, they, I mean, probably they choose other brands that are a bit more, I don't know, local
accessible
oriented,
or yeah.
accessible, or I have no idea what it is, but I would love to have more Indonesian customers, and that's something that I have it a little bit here in sight, no? I hope at some point we can do that.
And when it comes just to bikers community, are there a lot of Indonesians riding
Yes,
motorbikes? That's
yes,
then there it's like a
yes.
50-50 with foreigners or
No, I would say it's
more.
way more Indonesians than expats.
So it's not that the locals don't like bikes, it's
No, they
more like
love
the
bikes.
style. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a style again. I mean, I don't know if they feel like more comfortable working with Indonesian
Maybe also. Yeah. Yeah.
custom shops. If it's a matter of a lot of them are very talented and they do it on their own as well. Because you see a lot of these Indonesians that when you see them and you go up and ride and probably in your tour you'll see that especially on the weekends they have a lot of like Vespa communities. So you have a lot of
That's
like
nice.
C70 communities, right? The postie bike, the small C70. Uh, so there are a lot of very specific type of riders. So they're
I
like
didn't
Vespa
know that. That's
riders. They're
nice.
like C70 riders. They're like the Satria FU. This small 125 two-stroke. So you see them rushing. Then you have like there's like very
Like really
segmented,
niched.
niche
Yeah.
types. Then you have the Harley guys, right?
Those are
They're all
always on
yeah,
scene.
exactly. Then you have the more like kind of adventure type of bikes, like the
Yeah.
Himalayan guys or Royal Enfield guys, no?
Oh, Royal Enfield guys definitely must
So
be
there's
around.
like they're very segmented here, but there's a lot of communities here in Indonesia, and
That's
it's
interesting.
yeah, and they're mainly locals. I don't know of any expat community that kind of organizes like rides every weekend. It used to be, not anymore, and that's why I think it's something I would really love to wake up again, not only on the gentleman's ride.
That's really interesting because when you think Bali, you usually think beach, cocktail. You don't necessarily think bike. as a foreigner, like when I'm saying to my friend I'm in Bali, they're
Yeah,
not thinking, oh, where are you gonna ride? They're
yeah,
probably thinking I'm going snorkeling. So it's
yeah,
really interesting to bring
yeah. It
more
is. I mean,
eyes on
it
that.
is,
Like if
especially if
you
you
want to
go.
ride, come to
Yeah,
Bali.
yeah. Especially if you avoid certain areas
Yeah,
like Canggu or Seminyak or obviously Denpasar or. But as soon as you go out of the main city hubs, there's really amazing and beautiful
that's where we're gonna go.
rides, not roads, but rides. Roads
Bumpy
are kind of
roads.
tricky. Roads are kind of tricky. Yeah, but rides they're beautiful. I mean, just the surroundings. I mean, you have amazing cliffs. You have obviously ocean streets or roads. You have mountain roads. I mean, if you go
With the
here up to yeah, you
volcanoes.
have up
Oh
to the
yeah.
volcanoes. Then you have the north shore, the east, west, the center of Bali. Everywhere it's like I mean waterfalls. You have. I mean, it's unbelievable how beautiful it is to ride around and just get lost in Bali. And I think that's one of the most underrated things in Bali, and not a lot of people are aware. Yeah, yeah.
What's your view for MalaMadre in the next 5, 10 years? Where do you want to take it?
Wow, good question. Because it's something that I think quite often. Uh, Also, I didn't think I was gonna be here 10 years ago, and I am. So looking 10 years in the future, or 5 years. 10 years, I think it's a bit too much, but I would like to
Five,
like
five
5 years.
probably with
Yeah,
your
5 years.
kids still at school and everything.
Yes, and I mean, there's a couple of really nice. I mean, it's our 10th anniversary, and obviously, 10 years in business is a lot of time, and it gives you a lot of things to think about, things that have gone wrong, things that you wouldn't do again, things that you would actually invest in to grow.
Things that you
Uh,
stop doing and you miss doing.
exactly. So I mean, our idea is to kind of really focus in the next couple of years to expand our rental business
Rental. Okay, that's nice.
and also reduce a little bit the amount of custom work and make less bikes but more special. Right now, I'm really considering, or we are really considering to uh, shut the production
Oh,
until next year because, as I told you, we used to have 15, now we have 9. We used to have 5 welders, we have only 1 welder now.
why? Because
And
the business is slower or because you can't find
no, well,
workers?
because good welders is very difficult
Yeah,
to find. And obviously I don't want to overwhelm the only welder I have left. And I want him to enjoy the work. I want to enjoy the work as well. And now it's everything a little bit
too
too
much.
rushed. It's a little bit everything takes a little bit too long, and I don't feel comfortable like that. I rather prefer to do 5 or 10 projects a year and do them
The rental to
and
make
yeah,
it,
yeah, and do them
yeah,
like really into like super detail and take the time to do it, you know, absolutely perfect. And then obviously focus way more on the rentals, build a couple of nice rentals because I do think that we have. I mean, rental business is actually very, very, very good and very nice. And I want to really transform the rental business and not call it even rental. It's more like kind of an experience, as you
yeah,
say now.
yeah.
Use this like, okay, sell certain packages with very nice and cool, unique bikes, you know, do this routes, sell this routes, even go with them or not go with them, and make the whole thing a bit more like the experience and get away of the daily rental as well and obviously we will still have daily
Yeah,
rentals,
yeah,
right?
more. It's more the idea of
But
really
it's
the
more
experience
of
of one
creating
big
like the
riding.
whole vibe experience MalaMadre Bali thing,
I like that
right?
very
Yeah,
much,
yeah.
and I could feel your
You wanna
passion
you
when we
wanna move
were.
in and help me to
Yes,
build
please.
it up? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind.
Well,
Should I? I'm free to do it, so I could.
yes. You're working online, no? So you can work from everywhere,
Yes,
pretty much, no? So
that's nice.
yeah,
I'm gonna think about it.
okay. Why not?
I had a question for myself, but that absolutely didn't go in that direction. But now I'm thinking about it. What would you like if we would be in the workshop together with my Himalayan and I want
Mm-hmm.
to make it lighter?
Mm-hmm.
But what would you recommend me to absolutely do? Like, is there a thing, because you did an Himalayan? Is there a thing you
We've
really
done
don't like and you're like,
we've
oh, change
done we've
this?
done 5 Himalayas.
Oh, that's a lot.
Five
The old ones.
Himalayas. Huh?
The old ones, the 411.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
What would you tell me if we're sitting now in the workshop? That's the Himalayan, and you tell me, oh, get rid of this, or
Who?
what is the thing that
I mean, you know what? You can pretty much do whatever you want on an Himalayan. You know?
don't tell me this? 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
because
it.
it's a perfect. You can transform the adventure bike into a scrambler. Like we've done that. A very nice, cool scrambler, naked, completely naked, with a really nice, more.
Can it get more naked being that adventure?
Yes, you can. Of course, you can make it so keep the adventureness on it,
Yeah,
but make it a bit more naked. Of course, why
but
not?
it's already quite naked.
Yeah, but you can change the some geometry, maybe the tank. I'm not a huge fan of the Himalayan tank. I think the geometry on the tank of the Himalayan is quite weird. I
I
think
wish it had this round,
exactly.
super old school
Yeah, but
vintage
yeah,
vibe.
because it's like kind of a, like a chocolate type of packaging, for chocolate, how you
Like
call them?
the Mon Chéri.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of, it's like, it's like, and then it's like super square, and I don't know, it has a weird shape. It has a weird shape. So that, and then obviously doing it in aluminum, it will be a little lighter. You can do it as big as one, so also with a lot of capacity. You can change the geometry on the in the seat, because the seat is now 2 pieces, right? And it's like very deep, and then it goes very high, so you can make something a bit more, you know, a bit more straight, a little bit wider as well, but a bit more comfortable as well. Although you say it's very, very comfortable, right?
It actually is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, obviously, the upper part of the Himalayan is very, very, very easy to redefine, and change the whole look of the bike completely. Yeah,
Maybe I have to ride my bike here to make the modifications.
yeah. I can show you a couple of modifications we've done on Himalayans,
That would be
which look
nice.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be nice. Are you interested?
Mhm.
Thank you so much.
That's it?
Yes.
Oh,
Do you have
wow. You said you were 300 questions.
But you actually answered some without me asking that. So
Oh,
that's
did I?
nice.
Yeah, I like to talk a lot. My wife tells me that every day.
No, she said you're the quiet one. She's the
I know, but when I
talkative
when I
one.
start talking, then I can't stop. I don't talk much, but when I start, I can't stop.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
My
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.